What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. I wanted to talk about the general collectibles market, whatever you collect, comic books, action figures, anything else out there, okay? To me, it seems like there's a slow and steady decline going on with eBay. And I want to, before I kind of begin in earnest with this video, I want to mention a Twitter user called at @unsuckebay. He really tracks all of the negativity and all of the stupid things that eBay does, and I've certainly experienced it myself. And he had some really good statistical data that shows that eBay is losing buyers and losing sellers like crazy. And it seems like the collectibles market especially will experience a rapid decline in the number of kind of items that are going to be on eBay. And a part of it is what we talked about in the live stream with Chris W. This past week, how eBay is changing how they're reporting sales and things like that. So anything over $600, I believe, is the cutoff, will be reported to the IRS by eBay for eBay sellers. So it's really a pretty egregious change, and to start paying taxes on items that we already own if we wanted to sell on eBay. And I know for a fact that I use eBay quite a bit less. And I looked at the number of items I bought in 2020 on eBay, and I looked at all the items I bought in 2021 on eBay, and I totaled up the value. And going from 2020 to 2021 for me, there was a drop of 38%. So almost 40% less in terms of sales, items, dollars that I spent in 2021. And I would argue that in 2022, it's probably going to be a pretty similar drop. I found too many other good resources for buying that I'm going to go over later in this video. And but I wanted to talk about the sales statistics for eBay. And again, a lot of this stuff comes from @unsuckebay on Twitter. Really interesting account, and he tracks a lot of the stupidity that eBay does. And look at this chart. This is a pretty interesting one. We all know what happened in 2020 with the virus, and people were bored. People had a lot of excess money. They weren't spending money on going out to restaurants and travel and all that good stuff, live events. So they went online and they bought stuff, and I certainly was guilty of that. But if you look at the number of eBay users, active buyers on eBay, this is in millions, and it was tracked by quarter. This is all shared by eBay during their quarterly press releases. They are a public company, so they got to release this kind of statistical data. But look at the massive drop that we've seen from Q1 of 2020. It's almost back to that original total. We can see that really big spike that we saw from Q2 of 2020 all the way to Q1 of 2021, but it's coming back down rapidly, and it's going to be below 2020 levels. So buyers, on the buyer side, this is a worldwide total of 154 million. That's, again, back to what it was in Q1 of 2020. What does that look like by the end of this year, by the end of 2022? I would argue that it's probably going to be well below that $154 million number. I know for a fact sellers are leaving because of all this all the tax changes that eBay is implementing. People don't want to sell on eBay and have to report to the IRS for items that they've already paid taxes on. You're double taxing them. One other interesting thing that Fido Master reported is that eBay changed how they defined their quote-unquote GMV. And what is that? Well, that is their gross merchandise volume. That's the total value of everything that's sold on eBay. And the blue bars is how they used to report it. They used to report every single item that quote-unquote sold. Well, we all know, just from looking at my market updates for both vintage Kenner stuff as well as for the vintage collection, that sometimes people will bid something up and then not actually pay, and then a week later stuff gets relisted. Or they're fake buyers, right? If you're an unscrupulous seller, you list, like, let's say a TVC Star Killer that's graded AFA 9.0 for $500. You use a secondary account, or you get your friend to buy it. It shows as a closed sold transaction, and then you just cancel the transaction afterwards. It still shows as a closed transaction when you pull up sold listings on eBay. They used to include all of those kind of sales that didn't, either sales that never actually, where the buyer never paid, or those false sales as part of their GMV number. That's that blue number there. Once they adjusted for all of that, that's how much it dropped. It dropped a pretty significant amount. And you can see here, this is the cumulative total of GMV of all the items sold from 2018 to 2020. It was, before they started fixing this data, $275 billion. Once they deleted all of the fake transactions or the unpaid transactions in auctions where the buyer never paid, it dropped from 275 million to 235 billion to 235 billion. Now, when eBay released this data, they said, it's no big deal. No big deal. It's an immaterial fact. 15% drop is not an immaterial fact. To lose $40 billion of gross sales is not an immaterial fact. Now, the interesting thing is they did all this, and the market did notice, and you can see where they sit globally in terms of top 10 global marketplaces, e-commerce marketplaces. They're number 5. And again, this breaks down all of the data in terms of after they recast how their data has been sold. And so what does this mean? Well, number one, there's a lot of fake buyers out there. There's a lot of transactions where they don't actually close. And eBay was over-reporting how active buyers are on their website. They were trying, in my opinion, to hide the fact to investors that their site is slowly declining in terms of active users. And you can see here when they announced this change to gross merchandise volume, this change has been enabled to have increased visibility. And they're saying it was an immaterial fact. And I'll include links to all these articles in the event you guys want to take a look at it. But so eBay released this data, and that was their kind of like spin on it. This happened in December 15th of last year, so last month. And so they tried to play it off like, hey, it's not that big of a deal. But the market kind of said, well, actually it is kind of a big deal. You've been overstating your sales for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years or however long. And this e-commerce bites blog, they said, they finally admitted that they're overstating their sales, and they'll stop doing that, sort of. And I apologize for the background noise. I've got some roofers putting a new roof on. The only problem is eBay's still overstating their sales because they're still including sales tax and shipping charges as part of that GMV total. So sales tax for me is 9.25%, the state sales tax that I got to pay. eBay is counting that as part of their sales. That's a 10% number almost that eBay's counting as part of their gross sales when all of that is going straight to the state of Tennessee where I live. So they're still overstating their sales right now, gross market volume in terms of like the number of transactions that they're doing. Just for the state of Tennessee, that sales data is going to be incorrect by almost 10%. So eBay still is basically hiding the fact, in my opinion, that their data is inflated just by including shipping charges and the sales tax. So the other big thing is that their users, continue to decline, and this was all noted by different websites that says that the GMV drops by 10%, revenue rises, but their number of active users dropped by 5.5% just in the last quarter. That's a big drop if you think about it. The eBay users have dropped by 5.5%, and the reason for that is because people are selling elsewhere, and people who want to buy are going to go to those other sites. The content drives users. If you got the stuff that people want to buy, the buyers are going to come. If you build it, they will come, right? That's something I always talk to Chris about. And eBay is responding accordingly. They're getting more and more desperate. This is a chart, again, by Unsuck eBay that looks at when you pull up a listing on eBay, what are you looking at? And it's pretty fascinating. He said that 28.2% of what you see on the screen is the actual item that you clicked on, that you want to look on. Another 21% of the screen is the competition, other listings that are out there. And a whopping 50.8% is nothing but ads, nothing but crappy ads that have nothing to do with anything that's for sale, that you're interested in. It's complete in ads. And so in other words, eBay is getting desperate for alternative revenue streams. They're doing this, and it's annoying for us as buyers because we're looking at a bunch of crap that we don't want to look at. but they're doing it because they get paid on those ads. So when you pull up an item on eBay now, less than a third of what is on your screen, that what your eyeballs are looking at, is the actual item that you clicked on. And that's a fascinating number to me. You know, in a lot of different websites, e-payment websites like this, you know, eBay continues to downplay the decline of active users. And the interesting thing is that the chief financial officer of eBay says, oh, well, the reason we're doing that is because we're focusing more on the buyers, on big value buyers that make at least 6 purchases a year over $800. They're shedding quote unquote low value buyers. And they're saying that these high volume or these high dollar value buyers that make at least 6 purchases a year of at least $800 total per year represents only 20% of eBay users, but they deliver 75% of the company's gross merchandise volume. And at least in the collectibles space, I would argue that these high dollar volume buyers, and I would consider myself one of these, I certainly spend more than $800 a year. We're going to be making less and less of these high dollar volume purchases because we got to pay sales tax now. And we got to pay, you know, and if you're a seller of those high end items, you got to pay massive fees of 13%, which is 10% eBay fees plus the 3% to PayPal. Why would you why would you do that on eBay when you got so many different alternatives for selling? And I'm going to go over some of those in a second just for comics. I mean, it's just a sample. And one of the other interesting things is that their employees, eBay's employees, they see the writing on the wall in the collectible space. They're losing a lot of the collectibles and trading cards employees, the higher ups within employees, or the higher ups within eBay. They're leaving to go work for competitors. Apparently, the general manager of the collectibles and trading card space, she has left. Nicole Colombo, she was the general manager of the collectibles and trading card space. She left the company to join a card exchange, a trading card exchange called Alt. And what does that mean? These employees that work within the collectible space, they know that eBay is dying slowly because of all the changes and the egregious fees and all the sales tax that buyers got to pay. So they're going to these alternative platforms, these alternative competitors for eBay. So that was an interesting note. Now, let's say you're a seller of comic books, graded comic books. I've got a bunch coming back from CGC soon, and I'm not going to sell them on eBay. That is complete insanity. When you have to price it essentially 13% higher because of all the eBay fees versus selling them on different alternatives. There's so many good alternatives out there. One of them is shortboxed. It's the easiest and safest way to buy and sell graded comic books. And let me tell you, the fees are a lot less. Myslabs is a 1% fee for sellers. You can sell graded trading cards or graded slabs on this website. And I've been playing around with it. I've already set up accounts on there. And when I have extra CGC slabs that I don't want as part of all of my returns from CGC, I'm going to sell them on myslabs because it's a 1% fee. And I've looked at the user data. They should sell, I would think. So it'll be an interesting experiment. Whatnot is another very highly regarded app that you can use. Whatnot, it's basically an app where you can buy and sell live and go live and sell, just have fixed prices, things like that. Pokemon cards, CGC slabs, and even action figures. You can buy and sell all that stuff on Whatnot. So those are 3 alternatives in addition to Facebook. Facebook, you can do everything tax-free through goods or friends and family. And as an example, Chris W, he runs Rogue 5 Vintage Toys on Facebook. It's his sales page. I listed some graded vintage collection items last week on there. I think I listed a total of 6, and 4 of them sold within the week. And I got very fair prices, in my opinion, fair to the seller, which is me, and fair to the buyer. I didn't overcharge them. I gave them prices shipped in the US, and some of my Patreon supporters bought some stuff, and some other buyers bought some stuff. So to me, it was very fair for both sides. And those buyers didn't have to pay exorbitant sales tax, things like that, and I didn't have to pay exorbitant eBay fees. So I tried to price it accordingly, and 4 of the 6 sold within a couple of days. So anyway, my point is that there are great alternatives to eBay if you are a seller, and that's why it's fascinating to me, like we saw in the video a few days ago, where somebody's selling a $13,000 12-back AFA 85 R2D2 for $13,000. They're paying $1,300 in eBay fees just to sell that, whereas they could sell it on Facebook, in theory, for the same price or more. There's just so many good groups on there on Facebook, or you could go to other other selling platforms. So I do think that it's a very real thing, and sellers are recognizing that eBay there's no protections now for sellers, and they're leaving, and a lot of them are forming. I've seen a lot of them form their own sales pages. Hot Shot Comics is another good example of a seller that left eBay and formed his own sales page for CGC pre-orders. So the writing is on the wall, whether it happens quickly, which I doubt, or whether it happens slowly, but it seems like eBay is slowly losing sellers and buyers in the collectible space, and it's a very interesting topic that I thought that we would talk more about. I'll provide again all of these articles in the description for this video in case those of you want to take a closer look at this information. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.